In a moment, I'll be joined by the Liberal MP Keith Wolahan, who served as Deputy Chair of the Parliamentary Committee looking at the Voice to Parliament. First, here's a little of what he had to say to Parliament during the debate on the Voice legislation.
This is a decision that the Australian people will decide. Whether their vote is yes, no or unsure, I commit to honour that, and I commit to respecting the views of those who disagree with me. And I encourage all of us in this place, in the media, in social media, that wherever we see insults, wherever we see invective, wherever we see people revert to attacking the person and not the ideas, we should all step in and stop them. And so, like that young man at the State Council who took a risk to stand up, I say to those in corporate Australia, to our sporting codes, to families, to people at dinner parties, let's just respect each other as Australians and get through this, and at the other end, we know that the Australian people will have made the right decision.
Joining me now is the Liberal member for Menzies, Keith Wolahan. Keith, thanks so much for your time. You spoke about the need to get the tone right in this debate. Why is that important?
I think it's important because when we get to the day after the referendum, whatever the result, I think a lot of us, in fact, most of us are worried that we risk becoming a more divided nation. Because my commitment to my electorate is that in a democracy, the people always get it right. But along the way, we need to have a civil and respectful debate with each other. And what I've seen on social media, in the media recently, and I saw Stan Grant's speech last night, and that was heartbreaking, but across the debate on both sides, there is a tendency for some to attack the individual rather than address the argument. And I think for us in this place and for those who have leadership positions in this debate, we have to show a better example, because right now in lounge rooms and in coffee rooms, people are tense. And I think we need to say in Australia, we can have this debate and still be friends and colleagues and family, even if we have a different view.
Do you think your opposition leader, your Liberal leader, Peter Dutton, is getting that tone right?
I think he is. I think he is. You know, people will pick apart words here or there, but whenever he can, you know, Peter leads with the commitment that we all have to addressing Indigenous disadvantage. We all lead with our great pride in our Indigenous history and heritage. We're all proud of that. And I think Peter is getting the tone right. But I think all of us need to make sure that we always acknowledge that it's the argument we're addressing and not the person or their motives.
So, some have pointed out or accused Peter Dutton of empowering trolls and a racial response, a racism response to his position. What do you say to that?
That's not true at all. There are no doubt there are people who have odious views, and we see them on social media. And that is not because Peter Dutton or the Liberal Party have taken a position on our constitution. But when we look at how some of those have been used to hurt people in a particular way, all of us have a duty to call it out. And, you know, can I give an example of, you know, Julian Leeser, some of the things he was subject to, you know, the terms Judas betrayal that was put to him, a person of Jewish faith, you know, that was particularly hurtful. And we all need to rise above that sort of invective. It doesn't help the debate.
So you don't think there was any dog whistling in that speech from Peter Dutton yesterday, as has been argued by some in their response?
No, I don't think there was. I mean, people have different views on how you interpret words. From that speech, from all of the speeches Peter has given, he has approached this in good faith, and good faith in a way that trusts the Australian people to get it right. And all he is asking for is that Australians are fully informed. When we're fully informed, we get to have a respectful debate.
The government's not budging on the language within the amendment. Does that frustrate you, given what your friend Mr Leeser had urged the government to do, and you yourself had done through the committee process, had urged a change to get at least more conservatives or constitutional conservatives over the line? That was the motive of Julian Leeser anyway.
Yeah, I won't speak for Julian's motives. My motives as the lead in our dissenting report, we offered 3 recommendations, and recommendation 2 says that of the 4 options put before the committee to reduce risk, we recommend that the government should consider amending those. The onus is on them to make that amendment. I'm not frustrated, I'm just disappointed, because this is a really serious decision. It is the most serious thing we can do to amend our constitution, and risk has been identified. You know, there are experts who differ on its likelihood, but it should be addressed, it can be addressed, and I wish they would.
Finally, the Victorian budget today, another levy, this time a COVID debt levy. Last time on business, it was a mental health levy. What's your reaction to the Palace budget, the Andrews government's latest budget?
I'm a proud Victorian and a proud Melburnian, and there is a ranking that I'm not proud of, is that we're the highest taxing state in Australia. And when you combine the debt of New South Wales, Queensland and Tasmania, Victoria has higher debt. We lead the debt in this nation. That drives businesses away, and it puts a heavier burden on families who are already doing it tough. So I wish Victoria would concentrate on returning to leading the liveability index and not leaving the tax and debt index.
Keith Wolahan, I'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.